Hi, everybody. Hey, you should be excited. This was volunteer, right? Don't worry, I'm not going to talk long. I just wanted to welcome everybody. We were pleasantly surprised at the number of folks who had RSVP'd to this. We were expecting 15, 20, maybe 15, maybe 20 people, and we had about 150 folks who said they were interested in receiving information about this awesome scholarship. So that's why we moved over here. But before I turn it over to some folks that you're going to hear from today, I'm just curious to hear, I want to see how you found out about this. How many of you received an email through the EOP department regarding this? Okay. How many through Veterans Affairs? Okay. A couple. Was there any? Okay. How about through United for Success? Okay. And then the rest through financial aid? Anybody else find out about it any other way? Okay. I'm just curious to see who reads whose emails, I guess. So I'm not going to stay up here any longer. We're pretty excited about this opportunity to let you all know about this exciting scholarship, the Bright Mind Scholarship that's offered through PG&E. So we have two folks who are here to talk to you today. The first one, her name is Kara Davis, and she actually was a recipient in 2012, which was the first year this scholarship was offered, and she's currently a student at Sonoma State. So she wants to talk to you about her experience and get you excited and encourage you to apply to this opportunity. And then you're going to hear from Leslie Horak, who works with PG&E, and she's going to talk to you about the specifics of the scholarship. So I'm going to turn it over to Kara.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Can you hear me without the microphone okay? Would you prefer a microphone? Anybody have hands? No? You can hear me? Yes? Okay, cool. So where I'd like to start right now is I just want to tell you a story. I want to tell you a story about a world-famous author. She published 12 books and numerous articles. Next to her biography, her essay on optimism, published in 1903, was her most embraced work worldwide. She wrote about everything she could think of, from philosophy to socialism to birth control. She met every U.S. president, from Grover Cleveland to Lyndon B. Johnson, and she was privileged to count among her friends some of the most famous people in the world, people like Charlie Chaplin and Alexander Graham Bell and Mark Twain. But what's amazing about that is, according to the Society for Women Writers, she was among a group of less than 20 women at the turn of the 20th century who had published a book in America. But what's more amazing than that was she graduated from Radcliffe University with a Bachelor's of Arts degree in 1904, when men completely dominated higher education. But what's more amazing than that is that she was also deaf and mute. She couldn't hear or speak. But what was more amazing than all of that was that Helen Keller was also blind. And she was blind and deaf and mute at a time in world history when children like herself were locked away. They were often left to die. People believe that these children did not have any chance to learn to feed themselves or use the toilet. But Helen Keller had one woman who believed in her, Anne Sullivan. Anne Sullivan gave Helen the encouragement that she needed to overcome absolutely overwhelming obstacles in her life. I want to also tell you incidentally that at the end of her life, Helen Keller learned to speak. She traveled all over the globe, giving speeches, perhaps to audiences like yourself, about the power of motivation. She was truly an inspiration. And I want to tell you one more story about a young girl who admired Helen Keller. In the late 1970s, a bailiff ushered a man into a Sacramento, California courtroom. He'd been accused of brutal sexual and physical assault of his own children. He'd pled not guilty, but that day when he entered that courtroom, he saw his children sitting there willing to testify against him. He withdrew his not guilty plea and he entered a plea of guilty, hoping to perhaps get a lesser charge. His two daughters, his 7-year-old and 14-year-old, huddled together as they watched their father handcuffed and removed from that courtroom and removed from their lives forever. They never saw him again. The 7-year-old was literally wrenched from her 14-year-old sister's arms, sobbing, and remanded to the custody of the state of California. And the 14-year-old, in fear, fled that courtroom that day. Now, what you need to know about the 1970s, especially in California, is that if a minor was caught running away from home, they were taken to juvenile hall and incarcerated like a criminal. So it was a pretty brave thing she did. But she found a place where she could hide in a Sacramento park, and she would sleep under bushes and trees at night, and during the day she would scrape food together and wash herself in filthy needle-strewn bathrooms. She wanted to die, and actually she had a means to do so. And everything up to that point in her life made her think that it would have been better to die, but she continued on in that park. And you might think to yourself, so no family, no support, no means as a runaway kid in the 1970s to support herself, no home and no hope. Why would she continue on? What would motivate her? Well, I can tell you that because I was that 14-year-old girl. And what motivated me to keep living, the thing that motivated me to make something of my life, was my little sister Cindy. I was determined to be there for her. I wanted to be her Annie Sullivan. And like Helen Keller, the obstacles against me were many. But I had a dream, and I have a dream, to do something that requires a college education. So in 2012, when PG&E launched their Bright Minds Scholarship Awards, I, along with 8,000 other dreamers, applied for an opportunity to pursue my goals. And I was amazed and honored when I discovered that I was among the 10 winners who would receive up to $30,000 a year for me to complete my college education and to pay for my educationally related expenses. I was invited here today to encourage you because I know what it's like to need someone to believe in me and to need to be given an opportunity to pursue my goals. Helen Keller's obstacles may have seemed insurmountable, but with the support of just one woman, Anne Sullivan, Helen was able to achieve everything she set her mind to. PG&E, through the Bright Minds Scholarship, has been that for me. Now you might be thinking to yourself, I could imagine it, look, I'm not blind or deaf, I don't have any major physical illnesses, I've never been homeless or abused by my parents, I don't have any big story to tell. I want to be clear, that is not important. Life is difficult, everybody has different challenges. It's what you do with those challenges that matter. Perhaps you, actually, like my hero Helen, you know what, I'd like to encourage you all to continue on, to pursue your goals. If there's one thing I know about life, it's this. When people see you moving towards your goals, trying to attain your dreams, they want to get behind you and push. That's what I'm doing here, encouraging you. That's what everybody today has been doing in this moment to encourage you and support you. Perhaps you might not win the PG&E Bright Minds Scholarship Award. Perhaps you might find some other Annie Sullivan to help you succeed, some other scholarship to meet your needs. What I'm saying to you today is this. Reach out and keep reaching out. Apply for the Bright Minds Scholarship and keep applying yourself to your goals and your dreams, no matter what your challenges may be. Thank you for listening.
Wow, I don't know if I could follow that. So I want to keep this more informal. My name's Leslie, and I'm with PG&E, and I know you guys are approaching or in finals, so I don't want to be lecturing and a talking head, but I do want to share this information with you because I'm passionate about it, and it is life-changing. Kara is one of 10 people from 2012, and we've had 10 big winners every year since then. And you never know, one of our next big winners could be right here in this room. And so I wanted to share a little bit about what the program is and how to apply, maybe some tips for what's to include, and then answer some questions. So at the end we'll do questions, but if you have something urgent that you must get addressed, just raise your hand and let me know. I am based here in Santa Rosa. I work for PG&E on all of our charitable events and charitable giving. PG&E donates about $23 million back to the communities that we are privileged to serve. And we're very passionate about education, environmental stewardship, and economic and community vitality. So that's what we tend to focus on. This scholarship is one of our, what we call a signature program to give back to communities. We also have grants to schools. So if you're pursuing a degree in education, keep us in mind because we do grants to teachers as well. Let's see here. Big, long quote about everything that we do and really the impetus behind this scholarship. That, you know, we're a big company, a big corporation, and it's easy to feel like we're faceless and nameless. You know, we have 23,000 employees. We have a service area of 70,000 square miles. But the fact of the matter is, we all live in communities where we participate and belong. We're your neighbors, we're your friends, and we want you to succeed because we're part of your community. And that's where this scholarship really came from, is to spark that desire and light your fire. So let's talk a little bit about our service area. I'm showing you this map because in order to apply for our scholarship, you need to be a PG&E customer or have your parents or guardian be PG&E customers, because the way that we figure out if you live in our service area is you're going to have to put a current bill in your application at a certain point. So we go all the way up to Eureka, Shasta, Lassen area, all the way down to Bakersfield, San Luis Obispo. So if you don't have a PG&E bill because you're a student here and you don't really see that, then maybe what your permanent residence is in our service area and your parents have a bill. That's just an important thing for you to think about when you're looking at applying. Our application period has moved up this year for our 2015 application period. It's going to start in January 5th through February 6th. It's about 5 weeks. And it's, I know, a little tough because you're going to be coming off of finals and want to relax and not do more work. But $20,000 a year for up to 5 years is the carrot that will hopefully get you to do a little bit of work over your holiday break. The application link, everything is done online. It is not live right now. If you click on that www.pge.com/brightminds link right now, it will tell you that the application period isn't open and you can add your name to a list to be notified via email when the application period does open. So you can go to the site and do that if you need an extra little reminder. Some of the other requirements: you must be at least 16 years old. There is no age cap. You can be as old as you want to be as long as you're going back to college. You need to be a graduating high school senior or already have graduated, or a current undergraduate student like you all are here, or a non-traditional student who wants to return to school or go to college for the first time. This scholarship is specifically for undergraduate studies, so it cannot be applied to graduate work. And you need to be enrolling full-time as an undergraduate student at a 2-year, like a junior college, a 4-year accredited university or college like SSU, or a vocational or technical school. As long as it's accredited, that's okay with us. Bigger picture overview is, since 2012, we've awarded right around $3 million in scholarships. We have 100 that we do every year. 10 of the big ones, like Kara won, they are up to $20,000 a year now, renewable for up to 5 years. But in addition to that, we have what we call a one-time scholarship, which is a little deceiving. It's a 1-year scholarship of $2,000. You can apply for those over and over again. You just have to go through the same application period. And we have had winners who won a $2,000 scholarship for 1 year or 2 years and kept applying. And as they progressed in their college careers, things changed for them. They had different circumstances, and we had a winner who actually won the $20,000 after having received the $2,000 a year scholarships. So I mentioned it's up to 5 years, undergraduate only, and then the other thing that we do offer with this is we usually have what we call a Scholar Summit in our headquarters in San Francisco to learn a little bit more about PG&E. We do have internship programs for college students that we really like our scholars to apply for, or at least know about. And we like them to learn more about the company because, like I said, we have 23,000 employees. They're not all, crews taking care of gas pipes and electrical wires, although we have a lot of those. There are also people who work in everything that you can imagine in a big business. So we are always looking for wonderful and talented employees. So, Kara, did you ever go to one of our summits? Have you?
No,
you should.
And they did offer us internships and such.
Yeah. So that's an added benefit. Sometimes there are fun things you get to do, like be awarded stuff on the Giants field with Madison Bumgarner, which was fun for Kara. So I've gone over some of this already, but just so you see it with your eyes, because I'm a very visual learner. You need to be a customer, you need to be a high school graduate or an undergrad or returning to school, 16 years old. Did we go over these already? No, I repeated myself. Okay. We do have a preference for majors. We accept all majors, but there is a built-in preference for STEM students, in particular engineering majors. I think electrical, mechanical, and civil engineering. Again, that's because that's what's needed in our world as we move forward. There's a great need for engineers, in particular in the high-tech world. But in our own industry, that's what we need at PG&E. So we are encouraging folks who we will hope will want to eventually work for us or with us to apply for these scholarships. So my goal is to have someone who goes to a school, an elementary school that is supported through STEM education through PG&E, to then get a Bright Minds scholarship and then do an internship and then work at PG&E. I think it would be really fun to go full circle. So the other preference that we have that I think would apply to a lot of you in the room here is if you are the first in your family to attend college, we do definitely look for that. And if you are a big winner, the $20,000 a year winner, you do need to attend school in California. The $2,000 winners, there isn't that restriction. So if you're attending here, you'd all be in good position. So I'm sure one of the things you might be asking or wondering about is, all right, how do you pick the winners? So it's a complicated process. It's all run through another scholarship management program, Scholarship America, and they help us with all of the application gathering and sifting through them. But to give you guys some tips, this is the main breakdown. We look at academic achievement. You do not have to be a 4-point whatever, because you can go higher than 4 points now. But you do need to excel. You need to somehow show that you are academically engaged and excelling. Financial need is 1/3. You do not have to, this is not a needs-based scholarship. It is just one of the factors. And need can come in lots of different forms. Last year's winner was in Marin County and Mill Valley, and people normally would say, hey, why would someone in Mill Valley need help? Well, she was one of 3 kids who were in college at that time, and for her particular family, they were under some great financial needs. So that part is going to be based on all of the financial need stuff that you normally do with your school. They'll be looking at that, and when we calculate the up to $20,000 a year award, they're going to subtract any other scholarships that you get, any financial aid that you receive from a university, and use that to calculate backwards. But I do want to say one of the things that is included, it's not just for tuition, it's room and board tuition. There can be transportation fees included. I think with some student, we were even able to include a new laptop computer that he needed. So it's a very broad award. And I went on a tangent, sorry. Back to my last third. Selection criteria is, this is the one that makes our scholarship, I think, a little bit different than so many others. Our scholarship is not just for financial need. It is not just for STEM majors. We are really looking for those stories and those ways where you are a leader in the community, a leader in your school, and if you have overcome some sort of personal triumph or had a unique circumstance. As an example, pretty much every year I think we have had a winner who's been a veteran, and they have great stories to tell about what their unique circumstances are. Each and every one of you have unique circumstances and stories, and as Kara so eloquently pointed out, those stories are worth something. I do really encourage you. You may think every single winner that we have had thinks, oh, I'm not that different, or nobody really cares about me. Why would PG&E, the power company, care about the fact that I was homeless for a year? Well, we do, and it does matter, and I very much encourage you to figure out what it is that makes you a special person and a great candidate, and think about why you came to this university and what you want to do, with your life, and talk about it on our application, and then hit the send button. Kara almost didn't hit send. So when you do hit send, you could end up looking like one of these people. That Kara is up there with the provost of SSU, Dr. Rogerson, and Sonoma County Supervisor Shirley Zane, and me, when we did a surprise announcement for her with her family and friends that we sneakily brought in to surprise her, which was really fun to plan. The other winner up here on the right is Erica McCrae. She's a single mom with 4 kids, going to school in Angwin at Pacific Union College near Napa. And she was in a similar situation where she was just like, I really don't know how I'm going to finish college. I've gone through this horrific divorce. I don't have a penny to my name, and I have to take care of my 4 kids, but I know that I need a college degree. And she hit send. She didn't want to, but she did it, and she ended up getting surprised with that fabulous look on her face. The bottom picture there is Lauren Killingsworth and her parents in her AP Physics class at Tam High in Mill Valley, where we surprised her with her award last year. Lauren raises guide dogs for the blind. She's done almost doctorate level research at the Buck Institute in Marin on degenerative eye disease, and she's going to go to Stanford to be probably a doctor or a research clinician. She also started a middle school program for science, because kids in the middle school in her community didn't get any hands-on experience with science, and she wanted to make it fun and real. And we thought that was pretty special. So that just gives you a little idea of some of the stories. It may sound like they are more special than you, but they aren't. You are just as special as every single one of our winners, and I hope that you will take the time and the effort to apply, and you never know what will happen. And I do have over by Julie on the table where the free pens and light bulbs are, I do have flyers that just remind you to go to the website during our application period, and also have a sheet of frequently asked questions. I've tried to hit most of them, but do you have any other questions? Yes? That's a 0. LGH0 at pge.com. Or leslie.horak if that's easier. Yes?
So does your name have to be on that bill when you submit the application?
You somehow need to connect it to a parent, guardian, family member. You need to be able to demonstrate that you live in our service area and are a customer. So I don't actually sort through all of that. Our scholarship management services folks do that. But if it's a bill for the residence that you claim as your permanent residence and it's not in your name, then that's absolutely fine. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes?
And what was Kara majoring?
What's Kara majoring in?
What was her major when she won this?
Psychology? What? Yeah. Oh yeah, we've had majors. Erica is going to be a counselor. Lauren, as I said, is I think pre-med or in the sciences, not in engineering. We have several engineers who do win. About usually a majority of the big winners, 50 to 60%, will be in the STEM fields, but we always have winners who are not in the STEM majors. Yes?
I'm curious to know how many people apply for this.
Excellent question. It varies. We have had anywhere from almost 9,000 to 5,000, 6,000. So it is throughout our entire service area. But a lot of people, we always have more people who register because that's one thing to know. You can start your application and save it and go back to it. We almost always have close to twice as many people who register and never get to hitting send. So that's how come I'm emphasizing that so much. Finish it, send it in, because what's the worst thing that's gonna happen to you? You won't win. The best thing that can happen to you is you'll get $20,000 for up to 5 years for your undergraduate studies. So it's worth the extra time. Yes?
Do you require letters from outside people, recommendations?
Yes, it's a full application process. There's an initial thing just to vet that people are within our service area and that you meet the kind of base criteria. Then they will do kind of a first round, and then they will ask for more information. So you should expect to fill out an essay and a series of questions like you would with any other major scholarship. Kara can talk about that probably more than I've never filled one out.
In terms of what did you put, are you asking?
The application process, the first step was, did you do the full thing?
No, there was several steps.
Okay.
There was a first step, like you said, kind of to make sure that I was eligible for the process. And then after that, there were several different essays that you kind of filled out to explain your circumstances and explain the kind of community service that you
did,
had
yeah.
provided and that sort of thing. And even what your goals were, there was a goal statement.
Yeah. Okay, does that help?
It does, and I know the application site is not open, but are the things the steps, is that outlined there on the site to look at?
It is not. The only thing that's up there, like I said, is you can put your name on there to get an email when the application period opens. If you're really worried about what the questions are, get one of the frequently asked questions sheets. It walks through some of that, and if that doesn't answer all of your questions, email me and I can probably send you some of the questions, or talk to Kara after because she's been through it. Yes?
Are the internships, are they seasonal or are they year-round?
The internship program is usually during the summer, and I think the application period for that is in December, or it's separate. But usually we will have our winners for sure. We make sure that they get looped in with the internship application process. So if you go to pge.com and then I think it's under careers, there's a special section on college internships. And again, if you can't find it, email me. Yes?
In order to establish a GPA, do you have to request transcripts from your high school if you're a freshman?
If you are, if you're a freshman, you would have to do probably high school and whatever your last year of completed school would be. Yeah, they require all of that. Yes?
Jump on that? By the time the application opens, they will have received their fall semester grades.
Got it.
So that probably would be sufficient, right?
I would think so. It's your most recent. Yeah, it would be, that's what you would go on. And if you want to include your high school grades, if that's a better thing for you, you may be able to do that. That's actually a question that you probably wouldn't, I don't know if you do that in the first round. Do you remember if you did? I don't think you do that in your first round. So you would be contacted for more information, and then they will outline exactly what they want from you. So, any other questions? Yes?
Does how early you apply in the application season make a difference?
No.
Okay, great.
As long as the application is received by 11:59 Pacific time on February 6th, you are in the same running as someone who puts it in the very first minute. But hit send. Yes?
When do students get notified if they win a scholarship or not?
Well, usually that happens in spring. I would say by May or June, you would be notified one way or the other. Usually by Scholarship America or Scholastic Management Services. They manage the whole program for us, and so they do all of that communication with the students. And if you're chosen as a big winner, then you just find out when it happens. Because it can be fun. We try and make it fun. Any other questions? I thought I saw other hands. Did I put you guys to sleep? Come on, wake up. It's lunchtime. Yes.
Do you get eliminated kind of thing as you go on? So like if they ask you to submit more, that means you're like progressing?
Yeah, they do have a process. So there is kind of step 1, step 2, and then the final review. So if you get asked for more information, that's a good sign. So do it. Yeah. Yes.
Graduate student can't apply for.
I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
A graduate student can't apply for internship or scholarship.
A graduate student could apply for an internship, but they're not eligible for this scholarship. So we do, I think we have fellowships and internship programs, but no scholarships for graduate students at this time, unfortunately. Sorry. Sorry, Kara. Anything else? Did I put everybody to sleep?
No.
No? Okay.
They're thinking about what they're going to say now.
What?
I said they're thinking about what they're going to say now.
Okay. Oh, you're already processing. All right. Did you want to?
Do you mind if I jump in real quickly?
Yeah. Because you know way more about the financial aid and that process.
I just
than-
wanted to mention that we have recorded this, so we'll send this out to all of you with the PowerPoint, in addition to the additional papers that she brought. If we run out, you will get those as well in probably about a week. Some of you I do know have the concern about providing information that you are a PG&E customer because your permanent residence is living on campus in the residential community year-round. If that is the case, you can work with me. As soon as the scholarship application opens up, contact me, Julie Greathouse. I'm the one that you RSVP'd to, and I will work with you to get that documentation. So I don't want that to be a barrier. I will work with whomever we need to work with on campus to make sure that you have that information. But Do it early. Don't wait until you get back on January 20th to start classes to contact me, because that may not be enough time for us to get what we need from the departments that would be responsible for providing that to you. I think that was all I had. Leslie, do you have any information that you'd like to pass on? Okay. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and especially thank you
Absolutely.
to other Leslie and Kara.
Thank you.
So good luck.
Yes, good luck. Hit send and grab stuff on the way.